All right, my friends, we are back with a brand new video on our good friend, the Bomba Clat himself, man. It's Jason Blaha. That's right, man. So Blaha, he says, this gym lifting, recruiting, fitness gear slave says, key to insane strength, the four cornerstones of strength training. Okay, man, we're gonna react to the video.
What are the four cornerstones of strength training and how do we implement them? Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about
How do we implement them, Blaha? Please tell us. Please do tell.
this today. A quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below, follow or subscribe if you are not yet, and please drop me a comment with your thoughts, ideas, or just to say hello down under the video. I would
Unfortunately, I can't do that because you have blocked me from writing in your comment section and giving you a thumbs up.
appreciate it so much. Thank you. All right, first of all, you guys see me right here at the start doing max effort work.
I do.
Notice these are heavy singles. When we say
I do, but the problem is I notice the boobs more than I notice the lifts. That's the unfortunate part.
max effort, you notice everything I'm doing here is for deadlift related training. So I'm only just kind of showing you guys.
Oh, it's for deadlift training. I told you, it's a concentric deadlift training, man. This just wears you out, weakens your body. Doing concentric lifts weakens your body. It doesn't make your body stronger.
One movement, right? Just how to get strong at the deadlift.
Here's the thing. It especially makes you weaker as you get older. See what I mean? Not so much when you're younger. I mean, it does to a degree. But it makes you even more weaker as you get older. That's why he has a hard time. Look at him. He's gasping because it weakens you going against gravity. That's the whole point. Keeps you small. It shrinks you.
Using that as a baseline.
Blaha is shrinking.
Obviously, we do different stuff for the bench press. We do different stuff for the squat, but the idea here is the same. Max effort work right here. Number one thing. This is where we get our strength development. And notice when
Max effort work. This is where we get our strength development. No, you get your strength development in eccentric exercise. You get everything going with gravity in eccentric exercise because you could lift heavier and do more repetition work and more repetition work in the eccentric. You get bone micro tears, you get muscle micro tears, you get ligament tendon micro tears, and they all go through a regeneration, making you physically stronger.
say max effort, it's not 3 reps, it's not 5 reps, it is a 1 rep max. Notice every one of these lifts.
Yeah, that's the worst thing you can do.
So we're here today, live on location, and love.
It is a 1 rep max. Notice every.
Yes, that's the worst thing you could do is a 1 rep max. The heavy 1 rep max going against gravity is going to destroy you. That's what it's going to do.
Every one of these lifts, it moves slow. Okay? It moves slow. They're all heavy. Every single movement.
Yeah, I mean, you lifting off the ground, okay, and holding the weight, okay, it's pulling down on you at the same time while you're pulling upward, okay. Part of it, yes, it could be considered somewhat eccentric. Yeah, going up because, I mean, listen, man, eccentric, isometric, eccentric, okay. Eccentric hitting the isometric is eccentric, and going down is eccentric. He doesn't go down with the weight, he drops it. I don't know, most of the time, whatever the fuck he's doing there. He's usually dropping or doing whatever, so. But yeah, there's a pulling on the muscles for definitely, because you're holding the weight. So yeah. But again, I mean, these moves are still bodybuilding. They're powerlifting. They just stole it and made it into like a joke, like concentric lifting. But this really is part of bodybuilding, okay?
I am doing here is a rep that is 95% or higher of everything that I have on that day. Okay, so you saw me do a conventional deadlift. You saw me do a cambered bar. Good morning. That's
all right. Bodybuilding deadlifts, we don't do them. We don't do them like this. We don't do sumo. Their problem is they just want to lift the heaviest weight. They want to cheat at lifting a heavy weight. That's all.
with 500 pounds, by the way. And then you saw me doing a pretty deep deficit deadlift standing on a 2.5-inch plate. All right.
I don't know what the purpose behind all these lifts are for him. Why is he still doing this? He want to get good at just lifting a weight the rest of your life? Makes no sense.
Max effort, that is really your bread and butter. That is where the strength development occurs. All right, up next, dynamic effort.
No, it doesn't. Your physical strength development happens in the eccentric always. That's where it happens. So the deadlift is probably the superior lift here when it comes to powerlifting, okay? Bodybuilding, we do these lifts, but we lower the weight too. We go up with the weight, we lower it. We lower it. We go up, we lower it. That's the difference. It can be considered always eccentric. Going up is eccentric. I'm not joking. Pulling on the weight going up is eccentric, but going down is also eccentric. But they don't go down with the weight eccentrically. See what I mean? That's the difference. But in bodybuilding, we go up with it and down. See what I mean? Now, do you have to go all the way up to the top? Well, not necessarily, but it is good to go all the way up to the top and go down again with the weight. In bodybuilding, we can go either way. It's always eccentric. Whether you go all the way to the top or to the bottom, it's always eccentric because the weight is pulling down on your muscle. There's a huge stretch because the weight's heavy.
All right, notice this is all low reps, 1 to 3 reps.
But I would call it a static stretch, okay? That's the difference. It's a static stretch.
Speed work. With lightweight against bands, against chains. Notice we change movement patterns. So you'll notice in this video, these are done in different...
This is useless. It's just waste of time here doing that with these bands, man. This lightweight.
waves, by the way. Sometimes you'll see me use bands. Sometimes you'll see me use chains. You'll see me do sumo, right? You saw the sumo right there. We need to be clear. That was a sumo pull. Even though my big lifts are conventional and I compete conventional, we do sumo work. We do conventional work. I rotate from...
Again, I'm not denying that this is considered eccentric, pulling the weight upward. The fact that they're just dropping it, you know what I mean? It makes it like it's concentric, but it's not really. It really is eccentric going up because the weight is pulling you down. It's static, but whatever.
Through these different training modalities, okay? You want to sometimes do speed work with close variations, so you're going to do different grips, different stances. When it comes to squatting, it might be a free squat, it might be a box squat. It's going to be with different bars, against bands, against chains. If you don't have access to bands and chains, that's okay. But again, dynamic effort work. And what's the whole idea with dynamic effort? Very, very high sets with very lightweight, done as fast as possible with super short.
Dynamic effort. Dynamic short, what? Lightweight, short, fast repetition work?
Break. So let's say I'm doing that. I'm going to do 10 sets, 30 seconds apart. Okay?
So for what purpose exactly?
Just as an idea, different lifts will do between 1 and 3 reps. All right, we're going to do 1 to 3 reps.
Okay.
They're going to be 10 seconds apart.
Okay, Blaha.
All right? So we're in and out, in and out, in and out. What does this do? Number one, it teaches you to explode. It teaches you to be fast. Number two,
teaches you to explode. It teaches you to be fast. Okay. Look, the reason why the deadlift, the reason why these guys are not building on the deadlift, their body, is because they're not doing repetition work. The most they do is maybe 3 reps, 1 rep, like Blah says, 1 rep, 3 reps. The truth is, in bodybuilding, we do high repetition work. Especially that deadlift thing. You can do a lot on it because it's static. It's static, so you could do, I don't know, you could do as many as 15. So I've seen people do 20. Like these like real bodybuilding people, you could do as much as 20 repetitions pulling the weight up. Nah, you really want to keep it in the range of 8 and 12. Look, man, it's done with high repetition work. You're still lifting heavy though too off the floor. You understand me? I've seen bodybuilders do I think 400 or 500 pounds for reps. We're talking for reps. That's a lot. That definitely is going to build you.
It does train the movement patterns, etc. Because you have tons and tons of first reps. You have to find your spots where you're fastest. So when you do speed work, you will find the position, the toe angle, everything that
Speed work. In eccentric exercise, we have something called submaximal and supramaximal. In submaximal, we're just moving the weight slow. We may try to move it up quickly, but when we release it, we go down very slow with the weight. Now, it depends on the exercise you're doing. I don't know. But most of the time, it's speed work. It's fast. That's why they call it supramaximal. We're moving quickly, a heavy load up and down, eccentrically. It's important to target the type 2 muscle fibers.
lets you move the bar the fastest, and you're going to get a lot of practice with those first reps. You're going to set up over and over and over. It's going to make you good at singles. It's going to make you good at power because you're having to do a first rep all the time. You're having to reset up, and because you're doing bunches of them back to back, some of them are going to be faster than others. Your brain is going to start remembering what toe angle gives me the most power, what lets me move the bar the fastest. Why does that matter? Because that's where you're going to be strongest. Okay, the faster you can accelerate a weight, the more likely you are to lock it. So not only does it teach you to be faster in terms of the nervous system and the drive, what else does it do? It teaches you to find the ascent.
Not necessarily. See what I mean? But in what he's doing, I mean concentrically. But okay, whatever.
What else does it do? It teaches you to find the setups that let you go fast. And with the super short breaks, you don't have time to think. It's just bam, 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 bam. Also, because we do it with short breaks, what happens? We accrue metabolic fatigue, which builds muscle. If we did them 3 minutes apart, it wouldn't have the same effect.
We accrue metabolic fatigue, which builds muscle. Metabolic fatigue doesn't build a muscle. Muscle damage does. I don't know what he's talking about. You can fit, man, whatever. There can be metabolic stress to a fiber, but not fatiguing something. Fatiguing is not going to work. I don't know what he's talking about. He's crazy.
But we're hitting the fast twitch fibers every 30 seconds again. So what happens? We get
Okay, you're hitting the fast twitch muscle fibers concentrically. Okay. What about it? Or even in a full range of motion, but you're adapted to the eccentric, so what?
a hypertrophic effect from that on top of it. All right, well, what builds strength? You got to be bigger if you want to.
Yeah, what builds strength? You got to be bigger. Okay, so what builds strength? Eccentric exercises build strength. You don't need concentric lifting. I think people still are daft, don't understand this. What builds strength? Eccentric. Eccentric exercise builds these sarcomeres in parallel and in series, both. Get it, man? So it builds you stronger. It recruits more motor units, more drive, neural drive. You lift heavier eccentrically.
Your strength ceiling, hypertrophy matters, which is why we come over to the next step, the repetition effort.
No kidding. Of course hypertrophy matters. Without it, you wouldn't be strong. How are you lifting the weights when you first go into the gym? You have muscle, don't you? Yeah. Hello. See what I mean? And first, it adjusts by increasing and proliferating these motor units. That's what it does. It gives you some androgen receptors for force production, a bunch of stuff, so you can lift heavier. And then you need more muscle.
Okay, so we have max effort, dynamic effort, and repetition effort. You're going to notice me doing a bunch of sets of 10 to 12 on good mornings with different bars in these videos. So you saw me doing a cambered bar.
The only hypertrophy work Blaha does is sarcoplasmic, man. He doesn't do any myofibrillar hypertrophy work, okay?
The cambered bar, I'm using 315 for 10s. You see me doing a safety squat bar, doing like 240 for sets of 12s here. Okay. If people who are like, where's that math? It's a 60-pound bar. So that's why the 2 plates per side. All right.
He's got a great imagination, though.
Rep work, reps. Like a bodybuilder, repetition effort means that we are trying to build muscle.
Yeah, like a bodybuilder, we do repetition work, but we do it in the eccentric, blah, man. Come on, dude.
You were thinking like a bodybuilder. In this case,
If you're thinking like a bodybuilder, then your exercises should be eccentric. Okay, dude? Real bodybuilders, we don't lift concentrically. Now, I'm not saying we can't get something out of lifting full range of motion, but it's still specific because we're focused on trying to get damaged from the eccentric. See what I mean? So we have two routes. We have full range of motion. We can try to do this. An overworking of that muscle. Overtraining, overworking that muscle in a full range of motion. Okay? That's totally different. That's why people do these full body workouts. Okay. You still can do somewhat of a full body workout in the, how should I put it, eccentric overload and supramaximal lifting. So now we're just focused on the eccentric. And then we have something called accentuated, where it's just eccentric work. You understand me? Just like pure negative work. There isn't any eccentric going up. There's just eccentric going down. But remember, look, man, eccentric training is tricky. It's all really eccentric when you think about it. It's all eccentric because it's eccentric, isometric, and then eccentric. We're not going to the concentric. Get it?
am I doing a bunch of good mornings? Glutes, hamstrings.
The question is this: why would we do accentuated eccentrics? Why do we do in bodybuilding? Why would somebody do accentuated eccentrics? Because you want to get as strong as possible on those lifts. And let's say you're not that strong on them, but you can start building up strength and muscle quickly by cutting out the portion where you're going up isometrically. You understand me? So you're moving from isometric, eccentric, isometric, eccentric. You're not moving from eccentric, isometric, eccentric. That's the difference. That's all really. Now some people use it for getting, plateauing, or maybe they want to add more repetition work and they're kind of like out of it, so they just add these accentuated eccentrics. That's about it.
Rectors, traps, to some extent lats, right? That's what the good morning builds, and it builds them very, very well. Of course, we use different bars to...
They don't build them very, very, very well in natural lifters. If you want, are you talking about phony bodybuilding, taking steroids? Yeah, maybe, possibly it will work there. Yeah, okay.
Emphasize different parts. You can do different variations. You can do bands. You can do chains, different stances. The same thing. Build all the muscles. Build the muscle. Build the muscle. Build the muscle.
Build the muscle. Yeah, just build the muscle. It's just going to build magically doing Blaha's lifts.
That is done with repetition. Right?
See, you're going to build the muscle. It's done with repetition. No, repetitions don't build muscles. They damage muscles, but they themselves do not build muscles. Now, if he tells you you're building muscle doing repetition work, lifting the way he does concentrically, then it's sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. You understand me? You're pump training. You're getting the pump. You're chasing the pump.
We know this. The bodybuilders know this. Everyone knows this.
Yes, the fake bodybuilders, they know sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Here's the thing, though. Where would sarcoplasmic hypertrophy build the most? Well, to tell you the truth, it mostly would build more in the eccentric. Why? Because blood levels are elevated. Protein synthesis is extended for the entire week during that repair and remodeling. Therefore, glycogen synthesis is also extended for the entire week. So that whole week, you can eat a lot. You should focus on eating a lot. That's what's going to build your body. See, now the real work comes in. You need to eat a lot to build your body. You understand me? So yeah, but like I said, in concentric they're chasing the pump. But in eccentric, we too can get the pump too. So every week you come back, you can also get that pump as well, and you get a breakdown in muscle fibers. But how do you get that pump? Well, you have to eat a lot of complex complex carbohydrate, like potatoes, starchy potatoes. They're definitely going to get you pumped to hell. Those pumps would be enormous in eccentric exercise. But honestly, yeah, I mean, you could do that. I personally wouldn't, I don't go that route because I'm too old. I can't do any of these plant foods, man. I just can't do this shit anymore. But as a young person, you can do that. You know what I mean? If that's something you really want to do. But I really am against filling up my muscles with all this crazy glycogen, trying to expand the sarcoplasm. Honestly, it's just, I don't know. That's just me, but whatever. Let these concentric lifters chase the pump.
To get big, you have to do some rep work.
That's why it's an unhealthy sport, and they feel terrible, and they sweat a lot, and it's just bad, all around bad.
With moderately heavy weights. It can't be super, super light. We do that for restoration, which we'll talk about here at the end.
Restoration? He's just making this stuff up. We're doing this for restoration. Has to be done with kind of heavy, but not light, but heavy weight. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Restoration GPP. All right. So
GPP, what's that? G for pay? G for P?
We've already covered those. So then what else do we have? Restoration work. What am I doing here? Sets a 25 to 30 on a reverse hyper.
He's doing restoration work. You know, what exactly is he doing here? Building a booty?
Now, will that build muscle? Yes. Yes, if you are doing 20 or 30 rep sets close to failure or to failure, you will gain muscle from it.
No, you won't. You'll gain sarcoplasmic. So you'll expand the sarcoplasm, but you're not going to build myofibrillar growth.
Right? What else is it doing? It gets blood flow. It's active recovery. It helps us restore. It also forms a general physical.
You're not. You're not. Let me explain something to you, man. Even if you were to get, let's say, a minute amount of damage there was some damage occurred in the muscle, but it was minute, not a lot. A small amount. Your body is not going to remodel. It's just going to repair it. It's just going to put it back the way it was, going to restore it. That's why a lot of people complain. You hear them. Listen, they go, the muscles just repair. They just repair themselves. That's all they do. They don't grow. Yeah, you would be right saying that. Want to know why? Because they do with the small amount of damage, they just repair and they forego the remodeling because why would they need to remodel? You didn't give it anything to remodel. See what I mean? The nervous system has to be hit with something enormously heavy. And the only way to hit the nervous system with something enormously heavy while causing damage and sparking a remodeling can only happen in the eccentric because you can't lift that heavy concentrically. See what I mean? So it wouldn't work. That's why I know they do the deadlift, okay? The deadlift is probably a superior lift when it comes to what these guys are doing because at least they go to the top with the weight, okay? So it's a static hold or static pull, but it's eccentric on the way up for sure, deadlifting. And the heavier you go, the more it pulls on the muscles, especially to trapezius, the shoulder area, the arms. So yeah, part of the back area and somewhat the thigh, you could say maybe a little bit, because you're going heavier and heavier and heavier. See what I mean? So yeah, it depends. It depends. More like on rep work though, you know?
Preparedness, what does that mean? Strength-based cardio. A lot of times we think of it as sled work, weight vest work, prowler sleds, pushing, all that stuff, right? Strength-based conditioning, but really high.
That's strength-based conditioning, sled work? Yeah, I don't know about sled work. Sled work is terrible. It's not eccentric, it's concentric. You're pushing against gravity, pushing something. Whatever.
Restoration work also raises your GPP. Why?
No, it's like running up a stairwell. You're climbing a stairwell instead of going down the stairwell eccentrically. You're just going to exhaust yourself pushing a sled.
Because it raises your work capacity, it makes you breathe deeper. Again, think about what's happening here, laying on that device.
No, it doesn't do anything, just makes you better at pushing the sled. That's all it does. Makes you better at pushing it. It doesn't aid in causing damage, repairing, and remodeling your muscles, okay?
Pressing on your abs. You start doing really heavy 20 or 30 rep sets of reverse hypers, you're going to be breathing. It's going to have a minor conditioning effect, but it's not like a lighter cardio to where it's just endurance. This is going to be similar to HIIT cardio to some extent. You know, some of it will be something like the reverse
There you go. Listen to what he says. HIIT cardio. It's cardio. It's HIIT.
hyper. So what are we getting here? We're getting a restorative effect
How is this HIIT cardio going to build a muscle? Okay, whatever.
along with an additional muscle building effect. And in fact, those last three,
There's no additional muscle building effect because Blaha doesn't work for Blaha. It won't work for you.
all contribute to muscle, don't they? Through a different pathway.
No.
We're doing different reps.
No, there's only one way to build muscle, eccentrically. That's all. Eccentric exercise builds muscle.
That all give us muscle. It's just that the repetition effort is really focused on it.
They don't
with this
all,
restoration
they don't all give you muscle. They're not giving you anything.
stuff. Will it put some muscle on you? Yes, of course it will.
No, it won't. It's not going to put any muscle on you. Put sarcoplasmic, though. That's what it'll do.
Does it increase blood flow? Increases our ability to recover.
Okay, so it increases blood flow. Your ability to recover from this, from cardio, okay?
Improve our work capacity, yes. And that work capacity from it's going to matter on that speed work, because the faster we can recover from sets, the faster we can do the speed work.
Again, he said speed work, very lightweight. Remember, speed work, very lightweight. That doesn't work in causing micro damage to muscles, lightweight. Speed work.
Better metabolic benefits we get from it. Okay?
Yeah, you might get better metabolic, whatever. But that metabolic, you've increased, you've accelerated aging, because an increase in metabolic rate is associated with accelerated aging and shortening your lifespan. Okay.
It all matters, and it all feeds back
It all
up
matters. That's why all these people that jog and stuff, whatever, they die early.
over to that max effort work, because if we can recover, we build all the primary movers, we build all the stabilizers, we're going to get
We build all the stabilizers if we could recover, okay.
the most benefit on those maxes. All that speed work's going
Get
to
the most benefit on these maxes, yeah, okay.
teach us to move the heavyweight faster, and then the max
Oh, so now move a heavyweight faster. Look how slow you're going, though. You're not moving it fast, look.
work will let us move heavy.
He moved it really slow, okay? This would be considered accentuated maximal eccentric overload, because this is an overload, right? It's still considered eccentric when you're lifting it up, going up to the top, this heavy weight. That's the only thing that would build these power lifters is the deadlift. That's it. But here's the thing. Again, they don't do enough repetition work in the deadlift. You understand me? They don't do repetition work because it would compromise their sportive performance. Because the first 4 days, they'd be completely out of it. If they did repetition work lifting this heavy weight, they'd be out of it, bro. Get it? You understand me? It compromises sportive performance. That's why bodybuilding is not a sport. Powerlifting, they turn it into a sport, so they do 1 rep maxes. And the highest rep range they do here is probably 3. And 3 is not enough to really cause anything going on there. Maybe a minute amount, only if they go exorbitantly, astronomically heavy, like I mean really heavy, so that the weight is pulling down on their body with gravity. That's about it.
Weight, and it will train us and teach us how to max out and move heavy weight with maximum force. All right, guys.
Yeah, you don't, this whole maximum force and move away and this and that, that's just stupid. But whatever. Who cares?
That's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll
Good. He's just wasting his time.
talk to you guys and gals next time.
Yeah. He's building boobs is what he's doing. Flat chest. He's building absolutely nothing. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, friends. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. It really helps. See you in the next one.